Hey there, welcome back to the Smell of Logic channel. I am Ramona, where we read Reddit stories, advice, paranormal stuff, just a little bit of everything. This one is, let's see, when two angelic beings possessed me. So this is supposed to be an experience over on the experiences subreddit. So let's just get into it. Ready? So when I was 25 years old, I lived in a sort of community course center for a couple of months. There was a girl who lived there too, and she had some kind of spiritual psychosis. She was quite an interesting and odd person. She used to shower with her clothes on and walk around in soaking wet clothes. She kind of moved between sanity and madness and would say the strangest things. She would speak of angels and what not. Anyhow, one day I found her in the big hall by herself, talking out loud, and I hung out with her for a bit. After a while, I saw the outline of two huge beings of shimmering white light in this big hall. I closed my eyes and reached out to them in my mind. One I perceived as light and one as dark, yin and yang kind of thing. Suddenly, I felt they envelop me and me emerging with them. I went into a trance of sorts. I could not move or speak and was not aware of my surroundings. I was in a timeless place of floating sensations and beauty. People came around trying to speak to me and could not reach me. I was just standing still in rapture for about 30 minutes. Finally, I snapped out of it as a man shouted at me over and over. I just remember it as a faint, faraway voice that was either on the other end of this long tunnel. I heard the sounds and did not understand the meaning of the words. Finally, with great effort, I managed to form slow words and told him I do not want to come back. I felt amazing and never wanted to come back to my human body and weighed down personality. Finally, I opened my eyes, and I felt like I was traveling a long tunnel back towards day-to-day consciousness. Afterwards, I felt like I was drunk, just high on life with a lingering sense of ecstasy. To clarify, I did not feel like I left my body. I was just miles behind my body somehow, if that makes sense. I believe these huge beings were angelic, and I got to taste their reality for a while. Oh, and to the point of the weird girl was that she used to say that she was speaking to angels. I believe she was, and was somehow lost in between two worlds. English is not my first language, but I hope I express myself well enough here. And here are the replies. Ready? We choose to be here and forget. The game remember what we are to rise again. We are divine beings, gods, in human form, eternal by soul. All is mind, the entire multiverse. All is thought, and we are all part of the same source. I see it as a multidimensional game. We can all be physically mortal, so we can evolve faster by inclination, because if you would be immortal, you have one personality all the time. We are the manifestations of our own selves. Well, that's definitely a theory. Okay. Someone says, it's wonderful that you were able to have this experience. Have you noticed any changes that have stayed with you? And the OP says, I feel like I have a relationship to them and that realm. It is not an unknown to me anymore. The way you describe the state of this girl reminds me so much of how it is for me when I was in the deep end of my spiritual awakening crisis. Exactly like you say, being between two worlds, communicating with NHI for all that intents and purposes, we were angelic. They were angelic. Three claimed to be deities. I never ruled out psychosis, but I think that regardless of the cause of mine or anybody else's experience, it's about to affect you. It's about how it affects you that makes it psychotic. I believe that what I went through and what I continue to experience though currently very mild in comparison, is spiritual in nature. But at its peak, I was so overwhelmed and crippled by my experiences, it was indistinguishable from psychosis illness. The issue is that our society has lost any real spiritual mentors, and those working as healers and shamans are generally completely inaccessible to the people who might need them due to how much they charge and because we don't have a wider definition of engagement with spiritual reality. There's a strong possibility that an individual going through a spiritual psychosis might find their experiences exasperated when trying to work with available modern healers, because we lack the environment of the understanding community of the person in crisis to be supported further within, working with a healer for an hour or so, and returning to family and friends who have no spiritual connection, and just think we're losing it is completely unnatural compared to where it might have been that you would live in with a spiritual mentors for continuous support, and everyone around you recognizes that you're going through something profound. That's a lot. Let's see. This reminds me of a moment in the Wizard of Earthsea books. Ged, a wizard, is trying to bring back the spirit of a young boy who recently passed in the realm and beyond death, and it's described how the journey is dangerous for Ged because he could forget himself and his earthly ties and be lost to the realm above. Thank you for sharing this. Yeah, that's actually a pretty common. I hesitate to use the word trope because that implies a fictional basis, but this whole if you get too far into something, you're going to lose yourself, your earthly ties. I mean, it's in movies, books, video games, dreams. That whole concept of visiting another dimension, world, experience, whatever you want to call it, losing who you actually are. That must be a human, it's a human condition, but that must be a human fear that experiencing something completely different from your everyday reality will cause you to lose yourself. That's an interesting concept. Yeah. Someone asked, did you talk to the girl about it afterwards? What did she say? If I remember correctly, she just treated it as normal for her, Her eyes twinkled and she gave a big smile. Do you suppose that your willingness to interact with that girl and have a conversation with her somehow aligned you with the existence of these angels and allowed you to contact them? Also, could you describe the difference between the yin and yang feeling? It is sort of a push versus pull, masculine versus feminine, mover or moved, or was it more like good and evil? And they replied with, I think I already had the ability, but somehow she might have acted as an introduction to them somehow. Yang felt neutral, dark, and powerful, not as an evil, but as a necessary counterpart. They were beyond feminine and masculine. Yin felt like love, light, and power, but both beyond that which could be described in human terms. That's interesting. Fascinating. Thank you for sharing. Urantia says that angels come in polarized pairs. They can work on their own, but sometimes they work together. This is so cool. I want to get possessed by angels now. Laugh out loud. Well, you always say that till it actually happens. Anyway, so there's people sharing podcasts and everything about this experience, and it's interesting. Whether you believe in all that stuff or not, it's interesting to hear other people's experiences and what they've done, what they haven't done with that knowledge. But I hope you have enjoyed this video. It gives you a little enlightenment or something else. But anyway, thanks for listening and watching. I appreciate it. If you liked this video or any of my videos, would you mind dropping a like? Or leave a comment, share it, subscribe to the channel, anything of that nature. I would appreciate it. Thank you to all who have. And until next time, I'll talk to you later. Bye.